The Education Channel and the Naples Alliance for Children are pleased to present a special TV program designed to offer strategies for effective parenting. The show features child development experts and it spotlights important topics parents may be dealing with. Now, here's Myra Shapiro, president of the Naples Alliance for Children.
Welcome to Naples Alliance for Children, Kids and Pets. Or pets and kids, because it goes both ways. Today we have a special guest and two cameo guests. Our special guest is Dr. David Ball, who is a doctor of veterinary medicine, Gulf Shore Animal Hospital. And he's affectionately called by his patients as Dr. Dave. Welcome, Dr. Dave.
Thanks for having me.
And our cameo participants are Incas Shapiro, who's more interested now in his other friend who is going to be here. And Incas is an almost 5-year-old toy poodle. And he is welcoming our other guest, who is Joey Home. And Joey is, what type of cat is Joey?
Joey, we think, has a lot of Russian blue in him. Her, excuse me. We keep calling him a him, but he's really a her, aren't you?
And Incas has been playing with Joey, so I think he wants to get going with Joey right now. But we'll come back to our special guest shortly. Now, Dr. Dave, first of all, let's talk about the advantages. We have two dogs here, a dog and a cat here. Mm-hmm. And just what are the advantages or disadvantages to having a pet, or for parents to go and have a pet for their child? In case, shh.
I'm going to let Joey kind of cruise the table here. There we go. See, they just wanted to play together. I think the advantages are obvious. You've got companionship. You've got unconditional love. If you've got children in the house, it teaches them responsibility. Dogs are a great source of exercise, and actually so are cats if you want to play with the cats in the house. I think the disadvantages are, one has to be careful if you've got children with allergies. You need to be aware whether they have an allergy to a pet or not.
Can I just interrupt here with allergies? Incas is a poodle, and many people have poodles or animals that have one has dander and the other has hair. Do we have to be concerned about allergies with, say, a poodle?
Not so much. I think it's more the shedding dogs that tend to create the allergy problems, and different children are more allergic. Some are more allergic than others. So it's really something that you need to speak with your family physician about.
Okay, and that's the bottom line for anything.
You bet.
All right, now continue on to the advantages and disadvantages.
I think really when I thought about disadvantages, there's really not many disadvantages other than, an allergy, let's say, that a child has. But there are certain things that people consider a disadvantage. You've got commitment in both time and money, okay? Biggest problems we see with pet ownerships a lot of times is the pet owner does not have the time to spend with the pet. And one of the things I tell people, probably the worst reason for going out, the worst way of going out and getting a pet to bring home is spontaneous buying. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on, about how we plan and do research before we actually go out and get a pet.
Good. And as you say, we'll take that in the second half of the program. We're going to go into this what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Now, with the responsibilities, are those, who should be responsible for it? When you get a pet, say a kid is whatever age, at what age can a child get a pet?
Let's talk about age a little bit. And this is not hard and fast guidelines, but certainly you need the child, whatever age the child is, you need to have somebody in the house that's going to be ultimately responsible more than the child. when it comes to how old should my child be before I get a pet, you want to consider things like, is the child capable of understanding that they could possibly hurt the pet? I think that's the biggest thing we worry about. Pulling the cat's tail, even dropping a small toy breed on a hard floor can be a medical emergency. So it's really not so much age related, although they say 5 to 6 is a good age for a child to have a pet. It's more, does the child understand that this is a living creature that can get hurt? Okay, and I think that's the biggest issue right there. Then another thing that comes up with children is, how much responsibility do you want to give for their care? You know, is this a child that's a little bit more mature, that can feed the animal, brush the animal, bathe the animal, that type of thing? That may come a little bit older age than 5 or 6. And then if you have children in the house, you have more than one child. Okay, well, let's say you have one that's 5 and 6 and one that's 3 and 4. Are you going to be there as a parent to make sure the 3 and 4-year-old maybe treats the pet in an appropriate manner?
So that in purchasing a pet or deciding to get a pet for a birthday or Christmas or what have you, that and what I'm hearing you say is that don't get it because you're going to teach your child responsibility at an early age.
Correct. I think that's the wrong reason to get pets, is to assume that your child is going to be, they're going to somehow learn responsibility by having a pet. That's something the parent has to guide the child through.
And the safety issues would be, is it on both sides, that a child can hurt a pet?
Sure,
and a
bet.
Pet can scratch a child?
Yeah, if a small infant grabs a cat by the tail, the cat can turn around and either swat the child or bite the child too.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to worry about those things.
Now you decide you're going to have a pet in the house for whatever reason, companionship, for just having someone around. And I guess I say someone. My dog is a one. What is the first thing in selecting a pet? Where do you go? What is there a line of you should do this first, second, third?
I think research is probably the best thing, and I think people do a very good job. You know, we have the internet now, and it's just amazing. In fact, I just out of curiosity, I got on to Google, and I Googled in choosing a pet. And sure enough, one of their standard phrases that comes up is choosing a pet. When you click on Google on the internet, you'll actually get a lot of resources where you can go out and look at, there's even programs, Myra, on the internet that allow you to fill out a questionnaire, and it'll give you a number of breeds. When you click submit your questionnaire, it'll actually tell you what breeds of dogs or cats are appropriate for your choices.
Oh, so that if you have the internet, that's great.
Yeah.
If not,
there's the public library, has plenty of books on various breeds of dogs and cats where you can read about each breed and their personalities. We've got great Barnes & Noble and Books A Million here in town. If you want to go and purchase a book.
And Borders.
And
I
Borders.
have to give them all credit.
We'll get them all credit. But what I'm trying to say is there's lots of resources out there where you can go and find out about the breeds. Sit down and plan what your lifestyle wants out of a dog or a cat. Okay. Then go to the breeds and look at what breed matches you. Okay, and I think a lot of times people they'll go into a pet store or they'll go to the pound without a plan in mind, and they'll say, oh, isn't that a nice pet? And that's part of it. Don't get me wrong. There's the magic there that we talk about when you meet a pet for the first time. Does it bond with you? I think a lot of people can feel that, but it's much more than that. I mean, there is a certain amount of looking at your lifestyle, looking at your children's lifestyles, and making the pet fit. That's going to be the best environment for the pet, and the best environment for your children, and the best environment for the parents.
And I know personally it depends on your living style, too. If you're in a condo, if you're in a community that has certain rules, you have to look into that first as to see what they'll allow, because to get a pet
Sure.
and then find out that you're not...
Sure, and it's gotten a lot better in years past here in Naples. I can't tell you how many people would move down here assuming that they could bring their pets with them. And they had all these condominiums where no pets were allowed. Now, they've loosened that up quite a bit, and I think that's because more and more people have pets for companions.
And it's a necessity at times. It's emotional support and everything else. Now, what do you look for as far as how can you tell whether this is you pick the breed. Say I pick a poodle, and I know what the problems are maybe with a poodle, but how do I know that that dog is going to fit into what's down on paper? How can I tell that this is going to be a loving dog, that it's going to be with me, it's going to be a healthy dog? What do I go through? When
it comes to choosing a pet or knowing am I getting what I thought I was going to get? AKC is one of the websites that's going to come up when you Google choosing a pet. Under their guidelines, these kennels are inspected. They're going to have reputable breeders listed for breeders, for instance, poodles. On their website, you'll go down to poodles, and they'll bring up 10 or 20 breeders in the country, or even by state. You can go out and do there. When I actually, my last golden retriever I got, word of mouth. Ask around. Ask people that you know have. How I found my breeder was I had a client that came in, had just a great golden retriever. Personality was exactly what I wanted. I said, "Where did you get this? Where did you get your dog?"
Now, if those are for the purebreds.
Right.
Now, Joey is a dog that came from he was rescued, or he was where I forget where he came from.
Joey came from Domestic Animal Services, which is one of the adoption services here in Naples.
And the other adoption service is the
Humane Society of Collier County.
Okay.
The nice thing about that is you can actually go there, and once again, after you've done your research about what kind of pet fits small, big, non-shedding, shedding, that type of thing, you can go to these facilities and actually look and see what they have. And you can go multiple times. Maybe the pets that they have there is not exactly to your liking. You can keep going back. They get new pets all the time there.
So that's a good place to go.
Yeah.
And now those, when you get from the Humane Society or from the
Domestic Animal Services.
Animal Services, that are those pets neutered and shots, or is that all taken care of?
In their adoption, they do either. I think Humane Society actually does neuter all their pets, and shots come with it, with your purchase, let's say, or your adoption fee. DAS either will arrange to have your pet spayed or neutered there, or will send you to a veterinarian in town that does that for them.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've covered picking a pet, what we should do, where to get a pet. And in our next segment, we're going to just talk about the commitment and what's involved in having a pet. So we'll be back soon.
The Naples Alliance for Children program will return.
Your life is hectic enough without having to keep up with everything that happens in the Collier County School District. Fortunately, the Education Channel provides an inside look to the school system and its decision makers. It's District Digest, a weekly show featuring intriguing guests, informative updates, and relevant discussions. Hosted by Joe Landon and Leanne Zinzer, District Digest gives timely and topical news that matters to you and your family. Watch District Digest on the Education Channel.
Now back to the Naples Alliance for Children TV show.
Welcome back. We're talking about kids and pets with Dr. Dave from the Gulf Shore Animal Hospital. And we're going to look into now the big part of pets is the commitment. You don't just get a pet and say the household is going to run themselves and everything is going to be fine and the dog's going to be the greatest dog on earth. Let's talk about the home environment. What do we need to do there?
Well, once again, getting back to planning, okay, looking at your lifestyle. What does your lifestyle allow you to do or have as a pet? When we talk about commitments, commitments almost goes hand in hand with responsibilities. You've got things like health of the pet that you need to be concerned about. Just as we alluded to in our last section about the shots and the neutering as a puppy or a kitten. As time goes on, you should have your veterinarian look at your pet once a year at least. Okay, we've changed the way we do vaccines. A lot of places now are not giving vaccines every year. Okay, but that still doesn't mean you shouldn't go to your veterinarian and have your pet examined once a year. He or she is going to see some things that you as a layperson aren't going to pick up. And this, of course, prevention is worth a pound of cure, any way you look at it. And the sooner they find out that something needs to be tended to, the better off we are in terms of the pet's health.
In other words, a pet is like bringing a baby into the house.
Oh yeah. The good news is that it gives you all the joy and love that a child gives you, and sometimes the bad news is it's a little bit more care sometimes than even your child can be. So
yes, because they don't talk.
Exactly.
They don't talk.
They don't tell you what hurts, and they misbehave just like children too. So
yes, as one is right now. We'll have to see what happens with that one. Of course, the cat is just an angel. Now, is there anything you have to set up? You're bringing a pet home. You've picked it up from either as a rescue pet or as someone from a breeder or wherever you get the pet. Are there certain basic things you need in that house before you get started when you bring that pet home?
Well, you're going to need a good diet, obviously, designed for that pet. Let's talk about diet.
Yes, let's talk about diet.
Big thing right now is the food scares we've been having. Okay, I was just telling you earlier, I just got back from the Florida Veterinary Medical Association's yearly conference, and what we learned is that actually, out of the 3 major recalls, there was really only 50 confirmed pet deaths. Now, everybody's sad that any pet dies over things like this, but when you compare that to human cases of food poisoning, there's 76 million cases of food poisoning last year, and 5,000 people died. So it's when we put that comparison in there, I think pet food has a good track record. I really do. If people want to make homemade diets, which is a big thing right now, a lot of it was brought on by the pet food recall. There are veterinary nutritionists that can help you design a balanced meal, and they're also online. If you Google in pet nutritionist, you'll actually get names of board-certified pet nutritionists out there that can help you design your food for your pet. So obviously, food and water, okay, is important. You need a bowl for the pet to eat or drink out of, and you need to decide where in the house you're going to have the pet. Okay, if it's a young animal, you're going to be housebreaking probably. Okay, if it's a dog. The good news about cats is by the time they're 8 weeks old, they pretty much know how to use a litter box. Dogs are a little different story. They got to be, are you going to have them use a wee-wee pad inside the house? Okay, people in condos on the 20th floor. Probably not convenient for them to go from the 20th floor down to the grassy lot down below. So they may use a system where they have a wee-wee pad, or even train their dog to go in a litter box, just like a cat. Okay.
And this is what Incas. He's a condo dog,
yep.
And it's a lot different. Although he just goes wherever he wants anyway. I mean, it doesn't have to be in the condo. So it's the home. Now the big thing is you get a dog, and all of a sudden, it's almost like getting a boat. You're having a lot of fun with it, but then all of a sudden it's expensive. Mm-hmm. You don't recognize the money that goes into it. It's not just the food, but it's the medical, it's everything else. Just what sort of commitment is that, along with time?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about medical expenses. I mean, years ago, your dogs were work dogs. You know, back in the old days when we had farms, the dogs were hunting dogs or guard dogs or herding dogs, and so there wasn't probably a lot of special veterinary care. Now they're more like members of your family. And so people over the years have required more and more state-of-the-art medical care for their pets. Well, that doesn't come without a cost. Okay, those are expensive procedures, a lot of them. Good news is there's things like pet insurance out there right now. Okay, for about $25 a month for a young animal, which is I think about $300 a year or close to it, you can actually have an insurance policy for a pet that has a $100 deductible. And let's say you have and you got to watch your policies too, because every policy is a little different. So read the fine print. But there's policies out there right now that you would pay $100, they would pay 90% of the rest of the expenses that you had. And some of these procedures are in the thousands of dollars. So
does that take care of meds too, of medicines?
Oh yeah, yeah. And some of these policies even cover your annual health exam. Okay.
Now, say, is a young dog an Incus who's 5 years old?
Well, I like to think of Incus as young.
He's very young at heart, let's say. But
yeah, we don't. We typically, you know, and every breed's different because every breed has, you know, the smaller the dog, the longer they live is the old rule. Usually, if we look at a dog like Incus, they enter their golden years at around 9 or 10 years of age. Okay, that's where we start to shift as far as veterinary care from, let's call it a mature animal to the geriatric animal at that point. So there's different tests we like to run at that point. Once again, trying to pick up those ailments that if we pick up early enough, we can do something about it.
Well, no, and that, I mean, Naples Alliance for Children is about prevention as far as kids are concerned, but certainly it holds true with your animals also. Now, we have hurricanes here. We have pets. How do you handle, and I know you do boarding, along with a lot of others, veterinarians, along with special places, but how is this handled during a hurricane? Say I have him boarded at your place. How do you handle it?
We've learned through the years how to work this, and that the couple years where we got hit pretty hard, we had a fast learning curve when it comes to hurricanes and pets and boarding animals. We're real good at our facility in making sure that we have contact numbers for our boarders' parents, wherever they are. I mean, parents, the pet owners. And we tell them it's hurricane season. We even have a handout that describes what needs to happen. We encourage them, if there is a hurricane on the horizon, to not board their pets. Okay. Once we get within that window where we know we have a potential of being hit, we stop boarding altogether. Now, the pets that we have, we try to contact the owners. The last time that we had a hurricane here, we had, I think, all but 2 animals. People came and got them out, and you can actually nowadays, there's hotels in all over the state now, and there are lists of hotels, and we've actually, I think, even got a book in our own practice that has the hotels that will take pets.
And also, I know from experience, the airlines will ease their restrictions on pets on the planes during a hurricane, which is another thing. When you take a pet, they have to be, this is from experience, they have to, I think it's a 15-pound, most of the airlines, with the carrier and with the pet to get on the plane, to have him under your seat, otherwise it's below.
I think the take-home message here, though, is once again planning. If you're planning on taking a vacation during hurricane season, you have to have a plan for your pet to be picked up. Okay, either yourself or a friend or a family member can come and pick the pet up, but you got to get the pet out of harm's way. Okay.
Now, this just brings up a point, and I'm just going to show with Incus, and Incus has been outside of neutering, he has been, tell me, he has a little thing on his as far as an ID, he has something, explain this, where it's implanted.
It's actually a microchip. It's a passive transmitter, so if I pass a device over top of where the chip is implanted under the skin, it brings up a number for me. Okay, there's 2 or 3 agencies that have 800 numbers. You can take that information and call them, and that will give the person on the other end of the phone will give you the information, contact information for the person that owns the pet. I think that's extremely important to make sure that, especially with us living in the hurricane section of the country that we're in, I can't tell you how many pets were lost in the Miami area because there was no way to identify them. This is a surefire way to have that happen. Once that chip is under the skin, it stays there. It doesn't come out.
And people do know when they pick up a pet, particularly if it goes to a vet, I suppose, or one of the rescue places, they do know.
Yeah, these companies that have put these devices out have made sure that every pound facility, every rescue facility in the state of Florida, at least, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the United States at this point, has one of these scanners where they can scan the pet as soon as the pet is brought in, a stray pet is brought in, and determine whether the pet has been chipped or not. So it just doesn't, for the little bit of money that it costs to have that done, it's just well worth it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this goes also with, I think we did bring up neutering, but this is another thing that is a responsibility, at least I feel, of a pet owner to.
Yeah, I mean, in the old days you had the little tag that had your name and phone number on it. Now, well, what if that falls off?
Now, just before, because the time is getting short, if we could, within just 30 seconds or so, talk about a home has someone there who has mental or physical disabilities with a pet, say a child.
Yeah, this is something that even psychologists are looking at right now, the benefits derived when you have a pet with a either physically or mentally disabled person, whether it be a child or an adult even. That unconditional love, I'll call it again, is so important to that person. And so many times they have programs now where you can take even pets into nursing homes. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Yes.
It's just a phenomenal program. The people that interact with the pets just love it. You know, their eyes light up, their energy comes up. I mean, it's just a great program.
Well, thank you. If people have any other questions, which I'm sure there are, you can just call Naples Alliance for Children, 649-5260, or go to our website, www.napleschild.org. On the website, we will have information on kids and pets, along with a list of websites and local numbers to call to get more information on picking a pet, the right one for your household. And thank you, Dr. Dave. Thank you, Joey, wherever you are. And thank you, Incas, for being with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you for watching the Naples Alliance for Children, presented by the Education Channel. If you have questions or comments for the show, please call 649-5260 or visit napleschild.org.
Our story begins with a journey for knowledge. For research indicates that when a parent taketh a more active role in their child's quest for education, that child will be bestowed with higher grades and higher sense of being. Just a wee bit of time out of your meeting schedule is all it takes to show your allegiance.
Hear what your kids are saying. Get more involved. Join your local PTA.
We were in an emergency situation. We don't have extra. We have a little bit of water and a little bit of food. A meeting place, no.
No.
I don't think we have a first aid kit.
We have tuna fish. We have beans. We have canned tomatoes.
True.
You know.
That's true, but that's really not survival food. Tomato paste.
Yeah, well, yeah.